Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm the Lonesome Dungeon Master, and this is my first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons solo campaign, which I'm titling No Regret and Cat. And we find ourselves today, this is part 3 of Return to Lorabas. This is episode 12. In the last episode, we talked to the lore master, Omer, and he agreed to be Zawar's mentor, almost begrudgingly, but he did so. However, building out sort of the NPCs of, like, the prominent NPCs out of the of Lorabas and for the campaign area that we're in, and I thought I'd pull out Greyhawk Adventures by James Ward. It's a later addition to the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons hardbound books in first edition, right towards the advent of second edition. But they do have a wonderful pieces of information and things that you could glean for your campaigns in the Adventures of Greyhawk book. But what I'm going to focus on as I build our NPCs is our Hall of Heroes. So in the campaign bio, we have the Hall of Heroes for the fortified village of Lorabas. I'm just going to read the opening snippet. So the world of Greyhawk is populated by great heroes, great villains, and just plain folks. What follows is a description of some of Orth's best known, most feared, best loved, most hated inhabitants. Player characters should run into these larger-than-life NPCs only rarely, and when they do, the occasion should be a memorable one. The characters described here came to prominence some years after events described in the previously published Greyhawk books and game material. They can be introduced into campaigns a few at a time or all at once as you wish. So they begin in this free city of Greyhawk, but we're not playing in the free city of Greyhawk for the No Regret and Cut campaign. But that being said, I want to set it up kind of like the Hall of Heroes. Our prominent NPCs at this point don't have ability scores rolled up, but we do have Omer, the lore master, who is a high-ranking magic user, and we're going to suggest that his level would be, I'm going to roll a d4 for this one. His level would be a 1 would be 7, 2 would be 8, 3 would be 9, and 4 would be 10, which would be a high-level magic user. So what do we have here? 2. So he's an 8th level magic user, which keeps him in line with General Hadar, who was an 8th level fighter. So his magic user 8. And then we'll fill out ability scores here, just quickly, knowing that his intelligence should be his highest stat. So back of the Dungeon Master's Guide, when it talks about creating a party on the spur of a moment, it's way in the back. Way in the back here, creating a party. They go with the 46 methodology here, and then drop the lowest in a range as desired. I think we know what we think Omer is gonna be. So his intelligence is gonna be high. So I'm gonna say his intelligence. We're just gonna pick his intelligence because I think he's a smart cookie. So his intelligence is going to be, I'm going to roll a d6, 4 to 6, 4 to 6 is 18, 1 to 3 is 17. 2, so here's a 17 intelligence. Zawar is just as smart as Omer. So intelligence 17, strength drop the lowest, 12, wisdom 12, dexterity 10, constitution 13, and charisma 12. Boy, other than the fact that he's super intelligent, he is right in the middle of the bell curve otherwise. Those are Omar's stats. Not that we need it quite now, but he's an 8th level magic user. So his constitution does not give him any sort of bonuses. 4, 8, 11, 14, 18, 21, 25, 27. There's 27 hit points. Not that we're going to be attacking him anytime soon, but there it is. We won't fill out any of his magical, equipment, but I'll leave a line for equipment on 2 lines, I guess, and then a description. Where he comes from and all that stuff. All right, so that's going to be Omer, the lore master, and today we're going to be talking to Mehmet. Mehmet's captain of the guard. But again, we'll maybe fill that out the next time. It's interesting when you have the opportunity, when you're, as a solo D&D player, when I have the opportunity to play, I like to play. Sometimes the opportunity does not present itself, and sometimes the timing is very short. So that's why I'm cutting things down to right now, cutting things down to 30 minutes or less. We're just getting little snippets of Lorabas and some of the characters therein. So again, we're back at day 4. I just want to, we're going to do things by the book here. We know that at this point, we know the spells that Zawar knows, but Zawar was given tutelage by Omer on comprehend languages last session. So we're going to play things by the book here. Has a 17 intelligence, Zohar has a 75% chance to know a spell. I'm not going to go through all the first level spells like they ask you to do right at the start. It's as they come. So, green is 10s, red is 1s. We want to get under 75%. 52. Excellent. It's great that we did that because he knows comprehend languages, and it's great that we did that because I already wrote it down on his character sheet. Over here. So read magic, shield, shocking grasp, comprehend languages, and he does know find familiar. We have yet to cast that because he doesn't want to spend 100 gold pieces. Anyways, that's the extent of Omer's involvement in this interaction tonight. I had to think about it afterwards too. And so did the characters, I believe, but they're not super happy about the gold piece amount that they got for the tapestry. It's not a lot when you split it across 4 people. So that may prove to be a sticking point, or we may want to negotiate with more assertiveness in the future if we get the second tapestry. But anyways, they let him go, and then they go downstairs to the main area of the Brazen Monkey Inn to talk with Zehab and Mehmet. Mehmet shows up as they come down the stairs on the first floor. Mehmet shows up when Mehmet's there with 2 other guards sort of flanking him, and he's speaking to Zehab. It's pretty busy in the common area. People are ordering drinks. There's a haze of smoke from hookah pipes, and some people are interested, and some people are just focusing on their drinking and having a good time. Zehab's children are walking around and working the crowd, but they don't seem to be that happy either. And what I'm going to do today is we're going to use random information to talk about what was stolen and who it was stolen by. And so the characters come over. They are introduced to Mehmet, and like he is, based on our characteristics of the NPCs, Mehmet is sober and retiring. But dandyish. So he's wearing like shining armor, like spotless armor. He's got like his some kind of medals on his breastplate, and he's got like a nice little bit of like bit of feathers on his helmet headdress. He's got his helmet under one arm as he's speaking to Zohar, and he looks very serious. So the characters come over, and Zohar, being the local who grew up here and who knows Zehab, is going to attempt to like sort of intervene in the conversation because he is concerned. He's gonna leave. He's gonna ask Jizna and Mumala to sort of mingle in the crowd, and what they get up to. Maybe we'll talk to like the next sort of part of this Return to Lorabas stuff. But right now, today, we're gonna talk about how how Zawar and maybe Farouk, who's like with them, because Farouk is impressed by Mehmet and his, and his other guards, and like, the pageantry of like what he's wearing, the sober, even Steven mentality of him. So they get over, and they're gonna try and make a good impression. And as we know, Zawar has a plus 10%. He's a local, so I guess maybe Mehmet knows him too, so he's gonna get a plus 20 to that. So we'll plus 30 that. On the reaction chart, green 10s, red 1s. He comes over and I noticed that something was stolen and you're not in a very good mood about it. Zehab, is there anything we can do? Is there anything you can tell us about it? 69. Plus 10, plus 20 is 30. That's 99. What is 99? 99 is enthusiastically friendly, immediate acceptance. So this is going well for us. It's like, listen, now, Zawar, I know I've, tried to dissuade you from going to the dungeons because, the adventurer's life can be short-lived and can be a difficult one. And you may make friends. You're more than likely going to make more enemies than you make friends. And when it comes back to like haunt you or sort of make it, when they come home to roost, I suppose, any enemies that you may have, then it hurts your family and it hurts everybody around you. So we're going to decide who it was, and what they stole. So I came up with like three culprits that it could be. And we're going to go from, we're going to roll percentile and pick each one. I'm going to go over each one and why, and it might change the tone of the crime. It might change the tone of this segment of the campaign, but it's really, I think it's really cool and it's really fun to find out what it might be. So again, pulling from my experience, not afraid to beg, borrow, and steal wherever I can. We have the first one is Molloy. He's an old man, and he's stealing things for kicks or just for fun. Maybe to pretend that he's still young and he can still do it. Molloy, surprisingly enough, or he comes from The Simpsons, an episode of The Simpsons where he's in the retirement home and he's stealing things from the people of Springfield, and Abe Simpson and everybody else trying to figure out that it is Molloy, the old man who's stealing everything from anybody, and so it's a bit of a comedic twist to the proceedings here. And then we have Taurus, which is he's a human tomb robbing thief, and he comes from Robert E. Howard's Robert E. Howard's short story, Tower of the Elephant. And he helps sort of Conan, climb into the tower. And he's kind of like, he looks like he's heavier and he wouldn't climb very well, but he ends up climbing really well. But he's a well-known tomb robber in the Conan mythos. So he would put sort of like a darker tone on things, because Robert E. Howard stories tend to be more like sword and sorcery and dark stuff. Tower of the Elephant ends up being a pretty dark story as well. So that takes a darker turn. And then the third one is Andre Moreau. He comes back, he wants vengeance for something that Zehab has done to him. And maybe he was part of Zehab's old adventuring party and feels like he was wronged, and he's coming back for vengeance. So these are the three people it could possibly be. So we're going to roll percentile dice to see who it is and what sort of genre the thieving comes from. The comedy, is it dark sword and sorcery? Andre Moreau comes from Scaramouche. There's a wonderful movie that I saw as a child that is all around the French Revolution and things like that. So Andre Moreau is a bit of a dandy. There's a bit of a comedy to it, but he's a great fencer and sword master and things like that. So that's sort of a comedy / tragedy, or a dramedy maybe. So we'll see what one it is, what genre we're falling into for the thieving. It is 20. It's Molloy. Molloy, the old man, is stealing for kicks. So that's not to say that these people don't exist here, Taurus and Andre Moreau, but they're not the ones who's been doing the thieving. So I think Zehab is more embarrassed than he is trying to hide something. However, we're going to ask what was stolen. And since we had like a 99, they're going to share just about everything with us. So I put 1 to 6 on here. Some of them are magical items and some of them are just very expensive gems. So, and depending what it is, it may change the complexion of how people see Zehab. That's a 1. So it was a magic brooch that gives him, in game terms, he doesn't go around saying this, but in game terms, it gives him +1 to his charisma, and he gets to cast suggestion through his words once a day. And so he's both embarrassed and upset because he won't get he uses it to manipulate people into either paying more money or agreeing with his decisions or agreeing with his opinions about things. He tries to, at least, and even like manipulating his wife, his children, maybe even Hadar and his retinue, or city guards. And so that changes how people perceive Zehab, and it's not going to be good for him, for people to know. Well, he doesn't want people to know about it, but but because we've been so great in our interaction, it just all spilled out because he's beside himself. He's upset, and he needs it back. It feels like it completes him as a person, but at the same time, Mehmet's not very happy. And I don't think he really wants to keep looking into it. However, we'll see how often this has happened in the last, as this happened before. This is because Molloy, who kind of steals things for kicks, he obviously does it regularly. I mean, not every week, but how many people have been ripped off this month by Molloy? 2. So he's the second person, and now it's like, Mehmet's like, okay, maybe this is gonna end. This isn't gonna end, and it's gonna keep going, and that's not something that we want to have. So he's gonna put like the two guards that came with him here. He's gonna put them on interviewing people and finding out about this Molloy guy and where he might be. But aside from that, he's not super interested in following up. But should our characters be interested, they can follow up, and they can look for them if they want to do like a city adventure, or sorry, a village adventure. We're going to put that on the campaign growth. So Molloy, an old burglar, is stealing things. In Lorabas. Zehab lost his brooch. It's a magical brooch. We call it like the brooch of suggesting. It gives him a +1 to his charisma. It allows him to do suggestion once per day. We no longer can do that. So this may affect business, clientele. And so he's really keen on getting this back from this Molloy fellow. Figure out, we know Molloy is an older gentleman who's a burglar. Is he from here? If he's from Lorabas, I'm gonna say there's a 80% chance he's from Lorabas, and a 20% chance that he's an out-of-towner. 50. He is a local, so he's one of the 800. They just can't find him. So maybe there's going to be a house-to-house search for the guy. Maybe he's going to not be here. Maybe he's going to take off and go somewhere else. So another villages or towns in the area. Maybe he'll go to the big city. Maybe he'll leave Ket entirely. But we'll figure that out if we decide to pick up on these campaign growth things. Okay. Just want to check the time here. We want to make it sure it's, well, we're at about half an hour. So that was a quick jaunt into, we're calling it part 3 of Return to Lorabas. We quickly, we quickly did the we quickly did started up the Hall of Heroes. We did the lore master, what level he is. We've got Mehmet, the captain of the guard. We're going to fill out that. I'm going to fill that out offline, and when we come back, that will be filled out. We spoke to Zehab and Mehmet, and we did really well, and we got to get to the bottom of it. And we know that there's an old fella from town named Molloy who's stealing things just for kicks. And he happened to steal the magic brooch of suggestion that belonged to Zehab, and he really wants it back. We'll figure out what the ramifications of that for Mehmet knowing, and Zawar, and also Farouk, because he was involved in that. And Farouk wants to talk to Mehmet about the elves, if they know about the elves. He wants to talk to them about the orcs, to know if they want to, take the fight to the orcs, and why not. But he's very interested in that. So we'll keep this going on. We'll try to wrap up the Mehmet conversation after I fill out his stats, and then we'll go to Jiz and Mamala as they're milling about the crowd and finding out what new information they can find and what sort of wonderful adventure hooks or seeds they find out, knowing that they're horrible at chatting people up. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.